This is the smallest camera rig you will ever see in your life, and it's probably the worst one you've ever seen in your life, and it's so bad that it's kind of good. Bruh. So at the heart of this camera rig is the Sony ZV-1. Yes, the original Sony ZV-1. And why did I go with the ZV-1 other than it being extremely inexpensive on OfferUp for $350? Well, the ZV-1 has great 4K. It has a 1-inch stacked sensor. It has a 24-70 lens that starts at 24 f1.8 to 70 at f2.8. That is nice. It has built-in electronic ND filters. It has a log profile that can be color graded. It has time code, sort of, manual input. It has great fun high frame rates. It has decent audio. It has unlimited recording. Yes, this is the first generation that can do it forever. And it's not going to overheat like my $2199 ZVE1. And before I talk about why I rigged it out, I'll just let you know that it only takes one screw to remove, and this becomes a normal ZV1 without any of this fancy getup. Okay, so why did I have to rig this thing is because the ZV-1 is known for having an absolute trash battery. Yes, you'll be lucky if this battery lasts longer than a 40-year-old version. You turn it on, you look around, you get things set up, and before you even know it, you're out of juice. That battery is so perplexing because I have a camcorder. This camcorder right here, it's a camcorder. It lasts on this thing for like 3 hours. Yes, that tiny little battery, 4.5 watt hours. And I don't say milliamp hours because that's a false rating. It only lasts for like 30 minutes to 1 hour at best on this camera. So it's really annoying that you just have to watch out that battery all the time. It's just another issue is that it's not wide enough. So here is the newer wide angle adapter, and the reason why I upgraded to this adapter is because look at it, it just looks so cool. But not only that, the lens is inside, it's protected, and here this is at its widest. It protrudes when it's at its widest, kind of like the latest 24-50 lens, and this is zoomed in all the way at 70. It's one of these tromboling lenses, okay, but widest at 18 millimeters compared to the stock 24 is great. Now you could do like this type of shot and it's not an issue. This rig is still relatively light compared to like a full frame camera and lens. On top of that, it gives you extremely close macro abilities. Like you can autofocus on your finger this close as long as it's lit well. Another thing is that the handling of the ZV-1 was always a bit fiddly, if you know what I mean. It's hard to hold. I mean, this grip is just so tiny. The camera is also so tiny, but now you have a nice handle. It's a tiny handle because it's a tiny rig, but it's still a nice handle. It's great to hold. And because that you're holding it so well, that stability is also affected. Now that you can hold it well on the top, on the bottom, like a handheld rig, all of a sudden your shots are just a little bit more smoother. They flow more naturally. It's great having that ability. And just putting it on the floor because you've got a bottom plate. Yeah, it's really great having this handle. So enough about how sweet this rig is. Let's show how this thing is assembled and how inexpensive it is. All right, let's take a look at what you need. Okay, the first thing you will need is one of these Camvate rails. You could find them on Amazon. They come with these 2 screws, which you will need later, and they have to go in this spot. Okay, the next one is this next cheesy plate thing right here. I'll have the links in the description. Okay, you need a NATO rail. You need these little spigots. This is to raise this also item that you need a little snap rig handle. You just get something inexpensive like this and it's small. Okay, you'll need these shorter screws, NPF battery. This is the dummy battery here. Here's the NPF holder, and this is important. You need USB because this little camera uses a 5-volt charging. It is what it is. So this is 5-volt output. These outputs over here are 8 and 12 for a monitor or a bigger camera like a A7 would go to this 8 volt. This newer wide angle is totally optional. You don't even need it. However, you will need this bottom plate right here. It is an anti-twist plate. You can see it over here and here. These items keep it from twisting. And it screws on with a very small screw right there. So like I was saying, a single screw for the entire system. You undo this and the whole thing comes apart. Okay, so first off, this right here. This is the plate that sits on top of this other plate like this because you need a little offset. You'll see when I put it together. But on top of that, I need to cut this. You don't have to cut it, but if you want to make it one step closer, then you can shave this off about 1/16 of an inch up to the edge of that circle right there. And to do that, I'm just going to put on a piece of tape. Around a 1/16. You don't even need a full 1/16 to be honest, maybe a 32nd, because I checked the tolerances, it is kind of close. So I'm just going to cut about that much. Yes, I'm going to cut this totally optional. If you want to make the most optimal system, then you trim off this. Otherwise, you'll be just one space off. I don't know if that makes a big deal for you, but for me, I want to keep this rig extremely small. Okay, here we go. Now I use gaffer's tape. You should use like some painter's tape. It's easier to see. However, there's a certain person around me that where I live that uses my stuff and I just can't find it after they use it because they never return it. Okay. So that last cut was just to smoothen out this little thing. Make sure it's not easy to cut you or anything. And from what I remember, this screw hole and this one needs to line up with this bottom side over here. Okay, so it has to be exact because you know, I've already done the trial and error before. All right, before you tighten this all down, you got to push it forward with your thumb so that it goes all the way to the side. You'll see why in a second. Everything makes sense when it starts to come together. All right, so far it goes like that. And now these things, these spigot things, they go in between these two screws. It's easier to see this way. You can certainly tighten this down some more with pliers, but I don't want it to get stuck forever. So I just hand tighten it, it's good enough. And for these ones, they have this NATO rail, I believe it's a 60 millimeter. You kind of do need it a little bit longer because there's some clearance issues you'll see in a second. Okay, so it's gonna sit like this around here somewhere, right there. So that's why I offset it over here, so you still have room for your buttons. Okay, so that's all it is to it. All right, so next is the power, the NPF adapter. I mean, these batteries, they say like mAh, but you really don't want to talk in terms of mAh because this is a 7.4 volt battery. This works on 5 volts. The mAh depends on voltage, and To get the battery capacity, you want to just focus on watt hours, okay? 38.5 watt hours, 4.5 watt hours. And now let's get mounting. Okay, so it needs a little space because I remember that's how I configured it prior. All right, getting along. Now the dummy battery, might as well just do it right here while the camera's out of the way. And I'm just gonna wrap it around because it's nice and clean. And there's an issue with the camera in that the bottom, you can't close the door, kind of, because of the way that Sony designed the ZV-1 door. There's no opening. It's kind of lame. But you'll see that that problem is going to get self-resolved pretty soon. I just put this in as well, the top handle. Let's just put it right here. We'll move it out of the way soon enough. So will it fit? Oh, it's an awfully tight fit. It is awfully tight. Because of this door that doesn't close, you'll see how I make it close. I'm going to put it in. And then close it, and I'm just gonna let it hang. It's just gonna hang like that. Tuck it back in and flip the cable really carefully. And that's it. It's just gonna hold this like this based on friction. And you see that because this thing is a little bit raised or lowered, that the cable doesn't become a problem. I mean, it can still snag on stuff, and you have a screw here if you really want to tie it down, maybe with a screw and a little zip tie. But I think I'm okay with a more simplistic approach as using a bit of friction. Okay, so now that we're basically done. Oh, shoot. No, we're not. I put on this thing the wrong way. You have to put it facing inwards. And how do I put it? Okay, this is a problem. I cannot put it in because it's too close now. So to remove the screw, you cannot lose it. You have to have your screw kit with you. Because if you fit it down here where it belongs, the magnet system, well, you can't access it because of this rig. Is it going to fit now? I don't know. I just made a mess of this. It's going to be awfully close. It's touching here. So it's awfully close, but it does seem like it'll fit. Wow. Barely made it. You know, I think it might even be touching. It's going to be difficult to change this, but it might be worth it. So hang with me, hang with me, hang with me. There we go. Oh, yeah. It is. You see, it's kind of hard to show, but it's off by like 1/3 of a millimeter. It is extremely close. How ridiculous is that? But this is what happens when you try to achieve like the smallest possible rig. Is that, okay, you have no space to do anything there, but look, you can hold it. Okay, so this goes down here because you want to make it clean, right? So this is how you make it clean. You know, part of my goal is to make it slimmer and more of like a barrel, like a conventional camcorder. More streamlined like that way, because I don't want a boxy setup. Otherwise, I would just keep the normal type rig, right? When I want to build a rig, I want to keep it in line with the barrels like a conventional camcorder. So that's why everything is lower if possible. If I could even lower this microphone, I would. But since this camera is not high to start with, I'm okay with this. All right, getting there, getting there. And last thing is the battery. So there you have it, your entire rig. It doesn't cost too much, maybe $50 on the used market for this wide angle or $80 for brand new. This top handle was like $20. NPF batteries, 2 for $30. The plate, $25. I believe it was $10 for this plate, $4 for this plate on sale. Maybe $10 for the NATO rail, and then another $10 for the various screws and the spigots. Of course, you have to have the camera and all, $350. So your grand total is going to be around $500. Well, that's how much I spent for it because I bought most of this used. I had the batteries already, and even if I had to buy everything, it was around $500, maybe $550 or $600 with the mic. And you have a rig that you can use to film all day and just enjoy your day without having to worry about anything, because this can do everything. It has a really useful range. The battery on this thing can go for, like, seriously, you can leave this on the entire day. And when you're filming a lot and filming seriously, you have to just let it run, right? I mean, who stops in the middle of having a good time? Bruh. So what I love about this rig is that it's kind of reinvigorating old gear without having to purchase all new gear. Because this rig right here, it's going to fit on other ZV cameras and RX cameras. It's going to get close at least, or at most you'll have to give like a centimeter, and then you'll make it fit with other rigs, and it can run all day. And is it me, or am I just having too much fun on my own? Anyhow, let me know what you guys think. Is this thing just so ridiculous that you would never even try it, or is it just so ridiculous that it's good? Anyhow, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share. See you in the next one. Take care.